Okay, let's get started. So thank you for joining us today for this session, Building Digital Sanctuaries, Fostering Safe Spaces for Online Learning. And this is part of the 2025 International Education Week webinar series organized by AFS Intercultural Programs. So before we get started, just so you know, this is a webinar, so your camera and microphone are closed. We can't see you, but you can see us, but you can still interact. And I see that some of you are using the chat, which is great. You can feel free to introduce yourself there and let us know where you're dialing in from. The Q&A is enabled, so if you have questions that you'd like to ask the panelists, you can use the Q&A, you can use reactions, and closed captions are also available if you'd like to read what we're saying as we say it, live subtitles in a sense. AI note-taking apps are not allowed and will be disabled, and this session is being recorded, so if you drop out at some point or if you're coming in late, you'll be able to watch the recording later. And as many of you might already know, AFS is a global nonprofit organization focused on developing active global citizens who can contribute more to a more peaceful, just, equitable, and sustainable world. And we do this through international education programs, volunteerism, education resources, and advocacy initiatives, such as this webinar series for International Education Week. My name is Saskia Kaya. I am the AFS Sponsored Programs Manager at AFS International, and I'm joined with my colleague Felix Cantero Vilalba, and he is a facilitator with AFS, a facilitator for many of the programs that I manage and some of my colleagues manage as well. So we will be your hosts, and we have some panelists to introduce to you as well. However, first, I'd like to start with a bit of an experience. Before we tell you what a safe space is, I'm just going to guide you through about 5 minutes of grounding and starting the session and making sure that you're here and you're arrived. So make sure that if you're lying down, that's great. That's actually perfect. But if you're sitting, make sure you're sitting at the edge of your chair so that your feet can both be flat on the ground. And just roll your shoulders up to your ears and down a few times. Feel your shoulders in your shoulder sockets. You can move your neck around a little bit if your neck feels stiff. And just settle into your seat and feel yourself in your seat. So sometimes we show up to things, we move through life, we do things, and we're not actually present while we're doing it. So see if you can notice that you're here. And if it's comfortable for you, you can close your eyes. If it's not comfortable, you can find a spot to look at in your room. You don't need to look at the screen. There's nothing I'll show you here that will give you any instruction beside my voice. And you can put your hands somewhere comfortable, maybe on your legs or on your chair, and just notice your breathing. Maybe take a deeper breath than you were just a minute ago. Breathing in and out through your nose, telling your nervous system that it's okay to relax and be here. And see if with your exhales you can notice your shoulders dropping a little bit more away from your ears. And then take a moment to use your other senses. So do you hear any sounds in the space that you're in? And noticing your sense of touch, do you feel the air on your skin? Is the air cool or warm? Maybe you notice the feeling of your clothing on your skin. And then notice your mood. your energy that you're showing up with here today. Do you feel energetic, tired, rushed, happy, calm? It could be you're feeling all those things at the same time. That's also a possibility. And see if you can really feel yourself here now. And if you want, you can cross your arms over each other and put your hands on your upper arms and just kind of squeeze your arms up and down. Maybe close your eyes and feel that. And it's just like, I'm here. I'm in my body. I'm in my seat. I'm here with all of you. And then you can let that go. And then however you are showing up today, whatever mood you're in, whatever energy level, can you extend some acceptance for that? You might not be in the state that you want to be in. Let's see if you can be okay with how you're showing up today as you are. And then you can put one hand on your heart and maybe one hand on your belly and feel your breath underneath your hands. Then can you extend yourself some gesture of care, some intention of care to yourself? So maybe a word, a phrase, or maybe your hand on your heart already feels like enough. And take another deep breath in through your nose. Let that go. And use your breaths now to shift back, to transition back to this Zoom session with all of us. And notice if anything feels different. And we'll move on from there. So thank you all for participating in this mindful moment. I hope you feel more present and ready to hear from our panelists. So with that, I'm pass it over to my colleague, Felix.
Thank you, Saskia. Thank you for that mindful moment. Once again, hello, good morning from where I am. I'm Felix Cantero. I'm connecting from Asunción, Paraguay. I'm an AFS facilitator with different programs for under 18s and over 18s in online programs with AFS intercultural programs. And I want to welcome everybody in today. Today we are here to talk about building digital sanctuaries, fostering safe spaces for online learning. Our session's intentions are to define what makes a digital space safe and how to cultivate these environments. So for this, I'm going to introduce our amazing panel. We're very fortunate to have all these great people sharing their ideas and their experience with us today. And I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves. So let's start, as we see on the screen, with Mursalina Amin. Mursalina, can you briefly introduce yourself, please?
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Felix. I hope everybody's doing good. Thank you for having me. My name is Mursalina Amin. I'm from Afghanistan. I'm the founder and president of Gosto Leadership Organization, which empowers young women in Afghanistan through leadership programs and capacity building programs. I am a graduate of political science and media studies from the Tulsa University in Oklahoma in the U.S. I have more than 6 years of experience of activism and women's rights and youth rights activities. So yeah, this is all about me, and I'm so excited for the program.
Welcome, Rosalina. Thank you for joining us today. Nahid, could you please introduce yourself?
Absolutely. My name is Nahid Ahmed. I am the Chief Program Officer at Solia. We're an international nonprofit. We're pioneers in virtual exchange, and our work is dedicated to fostering constructive dialogue and collaboration across different kinds of divides, so that people can come together from all over the world and engage with global issues and the things that matter to them in ways that are authentic and genuine and true to themselves. Marcelina, you said so much about yourself. I feel a little pressure to do the same. I come to this work based on my own personal background. My parents are from Bangladesh, and I grew up a little all over the place before I settled in New York, which is my home. And I think true to the energy of that city, I feel like our world is better when we have people from all walks of life being able to be true to themselves. And so my career has been very much dedicated to creating those spaces. Really excited to hear from everybody today.
Thank you so much and welcome, Nahid. Now, Rhonda, could you please introduce yourself?
Oh, no, I think we changed it up. So I'm Dr. Rhonda Leslie Green. I'm the AI and EdTech Initiatives Director at Teachrawl. I've been working as an AI and child protection expert for several years. And yeah, just very happy to be with you here today.
Welcome, Rhonda. Thank you so much. And then we have a student guest in our panel. Maboba, can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about you?
Hello everyone, I'm Mahmoud Zai, a scholarship recipient and alumni mentor of AFS Global STEM Accelerators Program. I'm from Afghanistan. About 4 months ago, I came to the US to participate a Yale Young Global Scholars Program. Recently, I graduated from Forward International Academy, and this January, I'm going to start my bachelor's degree at a University IEW Green Bay in Wisconsin. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Maboba. And we're going to get started first with a question for the audience. So we would like you to share in the chat, as you have been so actively sharing already, what is a safe space online for you? What is your definition they have? Before we start fostering safe spaces online, we have to get on the same page on what they are. So if you could start typing and sharing with us, what do you consider an online safe space? We will greatly appreciate it. Then we're going to go deeper into how we can foster these spaces with our amazing panelists. So we see a lot of active participation in the chat already. Now we're going to ask you to share your thoughts about what is an online safe space. We have some answers already, where information will not spread outwards, where I can feel safe, understood, respect, inclusiveness, online data storage, a service that allows users digital remote spaces, so more on the technical side for some people. Space to express ourselves without being worried about any judgment, emotional safety, interactive community, to share our thoughts without judgment. No AI in a session. Definitely, it's a topic that we're gonna cover that. Protected environment where you can be brave, open, express ourselves, where you feel secure and that your information is protected, where you can speak freely without judgment, trust-based coherence, where you're feeling safe, absence of cyberbullying, having privacy and no prejudice and racism. Great definitions. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. In this context of this panel, we in AFS define a safe space as an intentional digital space that is safe for people to connect, share experiences, and build community. And with that definition in mind, we're going to get started with our panel. The first question is for Maboba. Could you please share your experience with a safe space? What does a safe space mean to you, and when have you felt safe?
So in 2021, when the Taliban returned back to power in Afghanistan, the schools for girls were banned for beyond grade 6, and I had to search for online classrooms to continue my education. Therefore, I started learning online, and I started joining online classes. And during the first days, it was really hard for me to feel safe, supported, and included in my online classrooms, because it was a completely new experience for me. Before 2021, I never experienced learning online, and so it was hard for me to turn my camera on or unmute to talk. And the Girls Steward Leadership Program was one of the first programs that was live, and it was online that I participated. So our teachers were always encouraging us to turn our camera on or off. So they were telling us that it's completely up to you whether you want to turn your camera on or off, because so the situation those days in Afghanistan, it was really hard. So the Taliban, they said that the girls are not allowed to continue their education. So those girls who are studying, they were standing against these rules. So I was I was one of those girls who were standing against the Taliban's rule. So I was afraid of being radicalized by the Taliban. And when our teachers said as that it's up to you whether you want to turn your camera on or off. So this simple understanding of our situation, it was really helpful for me to feel safe in my online classroom. And in 2024, when I joined AFS program, it was one of the most diverse programs that I have ever joined. Our facilitators, they were amazing. They were from different parts of the world. My peers, they were from different backgrounds. It was so this was a really different experience for me. It was really hard for me to feel safe included because it was really diverse. And in the first day, we had a discussion about our similarities. And when we talked, all of my peers, I noticed that all of them said that they were open-minded. And in the first, by the beginning of this program, I realized that, yeah, this program is the right program for me. Everyone here are open-minded, so no matter where I came from, where I belong. So the diversity is respected in my classroom. So it was really great for me. And it was the moment that I felt connected to the program. And later, and at my AFS program, I shared my experience of living in Afghanistan and learning online, the challenges that we were facing, and how the schools were banned for the girls, how this was a heartbreaking news for millions of Afghan girls. So when I was talking about these things, I noticed that some of my peers crying, and yeah, it was the moment that I felt so connected and included in my program, and it really helped me to feel safe. And later in 2025, I had the opportunity to return to AFS as a mentor and help other girls who are joining from different parts of the world to feel safe, included, and supported in your program. We were close in age, and they were more comfortable talking with me and other mentors. And I always try to help create safe and more safe and supported space for these other girls as I experienced. I always try to help them to understand that this program is so diverse, and the diversity is actually respected in AFS program. And it was really helpful because everyone joining in such diverse programs, they didn't feel confident, so they are afraid of their their background, or they are afraid that so they will not feel included in this diverse program. But I always help them to understand that all the students were there as active global citizens of this world to work for a better world. And looking back, I think that feeling safe online and feeling included and supported online is all connected to empathy. And when we see that our teachers and peers when they show kindness and understanding, it really helps all the students to feel supported, included, and safe as I did. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mabuba. Definitely, that was online learning as an act of defiance, and we're so glad to have you as a mentor in the program later on, and that you're helping now to build that program. So now we're gonna move on to the first question about cultivating a supportive online community. So, panelists, from your perspective, what are the core characteristics of a positive and supportive online learning space? I don't know if you want to choose your own.
I can start.
Okay, okay, excellent.
I want to first say it's really wonderful who I want to hear about the challenges you've overcome and what allows you to feel safe, and to hear from the audience and everyone attending today about what defines a safe space. So I want to repeat some of that because I think that's really critical, and just sort of like, and then maybe speak to what we think at Solia about what are the characteristics of positive space. So just recapping some of it: spaces where people feel comfortable being themselves, feel included, feel like they belong, and feel safe expressing their opinions and perspectives authentically. And I think I heard this from many participants. And as I was reading the feedback, spaces where people feel comfortable challenging the dominant narratives, others' perspectives, perceived facts, question their own assumptions, questions other people's assumptions, in an open, inclusive space. One of the things I think we value deeply is critical inquiry is so important to learning journeys. If you're not able to challenge others, if you're not able to question your own assumptions and others, then you're not able to have that deep learning, to have those experiences that allow you to shape your own perspectives and revisit the world and the assumptions that you may have been handed, right? Revisit the narratives that the world tells you to accept. And so for us, like, safe spaces should allow for critical inquiry, should allow for a little bit of intellectual discomfort, not physical, emotional, or psychological discomfort, but intellectual discomfort. You know, if you're feeling challenged, if you feel safe feeling challenged, that for us is really critical to having safe spaces. To that end, for Samia, it means, I think, 4 things very quickly. Spaces should be designed intentionally to foster that physical and psychological safety. This does not happen by accident. You can't just happenstance and kind of create it as you go. 2, spaces should be facilitated such that someone is responsible, someone who has the relevant skills is responsible for ensuring the creation and maintenance of safe, inclusive spaces. I find that often leads to the tragedy of the commons. If everybody is responsible for something, nobody is responsible for it. So having people who are skilled in that specific area is important. But also they should be co-created with the participants, whether that includes the facilitator, the educator, whatever that may be. Participants should be part of the process in creating the spaces. We should enable people's active engagement and participation from the participants to design the safe space and to maintain that safe space. And so that it's not like a theoretical thing, but like, you know, when you set ground rules, they shouldn't be top down. It shouldn't be a facilitator, an instructor, or an educator saying, this is what I think, your ground rules should be. It should be things participants agree on together, things they say would make them feel safer. And so that I'm not taking up all the airtime, of course, core digital safeguards in place, right? And that means different things for different people. Being able to know that your IP isn't tracked, right? Like being able to know that if you log into something, someone isn't recorded. And so I think for organizations like ours and others in this room, being able to hold ourselves up to the highest standards of safekeeping and privacy is also critical, because nothing will take away from that ability to feel physically safe.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Nahid. I want to highlight about the feelings of belonging and safety in order to challenge certain narratives in an open space. And the 4 main points that you mentioned about intentional design, facilitation, active engagement, and digital safeguards. And maybe going towards digital safeguards, we can have Rhonda's answer next.
Well, yes, thank you. So one of the things that I'm going to add to build on what Nahid said is, as she mentioned, things like this don't happen by accident. Safety has to be by design. So one of the ways that we do that in an online space is have it really, really, really well articulated at the start, who the space is for, who is meant to be there, giving people an opportunity to depart if it's not the space that they should be in. Another thing that Naeem talked about in terms of who is responsible. So when you have an online gathering of any sort, there should always be a person who is designated as a safeguarding point of person, right? So I think this is also feedback for this session. We could have introduced to say, hey, if something during this session makes you feel uncomfortable or you have a question about anything, this is the person that you can contact to have your queries addressed. And so in doing that, this gives power to the participants to say, hey, if I need support and I don't want to identify myself publicly, this is a person that I know is a trusted, competent, and confidant, and I can go to them. Another thing that is typically done. So I think this was said at the start of this call, but mentioning that this will be recorded and also explaining clearly the implications of recording. So, for example, knowing that even if your camera is not on screen, if you are typing on the chat, your name will be shared. The messages you type will also be shared, and also making clear that if you are sending private messages to people, that those private messages will not be private to the person who is making the recording. So being able to give full consent and knowledge to one's participation is another way to design the online space. And also giving people an opportunity to leave should they not wish to be recorded, which might have safety implications for them. So also making that very clear. Another element that we also try to suggest whenever you're building an online space, although I'm British as well through residence. So one of the things I learned about in the United Kingdom when I lived there were Chatham House rules. So in the U.S. we call it "what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas," which basically means whenever you come to an online space, there should always be that agreement made clearly and explicitly to everyone that we are agreeing not to share what is said here, so that that safety is built psychologically and even physically. And so making sure that people show that they agree to this either by, doing a thumbs up or writing in the chat is another way to make a space safe. And so, these kind of processes and little points from a digital safeguarding perspective may seem very small, but in practice, they contribute to a wider culture of what it means to be safe online. And so these are some of the things that I'll add. And then you're a perfect person for me to follow because you really, set the stage for those points just shared.
Thank you so much, Rhonda. And indeed, I want to highlight the points that you made about safety by design from the start, with everybody knowing exactly what the safeguards are and give them the chance to leave if they don't agree. I really like that. And very interesting about the Chatham House rules and a little bit of accountability as well. So with that, we're going to move on for Mursalina to answer this. Mursalina, you have the floor.
Sure, thank you so much. Really great points were mentioned by Rhonda, Nahid, and Mahbouba. Thank you for all those. Building up on those, I would like to start with a very personal story of myself on digital safety. So I was 18 years old in 2020 when I founded Ghost World Leadership. As I mentioned, it's a nonprofit organization that helps empowering Afghan young women through capacity building programs, leadership programs, and other educational opportunities. So I was doing that during the COVID-19. We were having our programs online. We started with a lot of online programs when the COVID was in Afghanistan and all over the world. At the same time, I was studying at the American University of Afghanistan. I was a freshman at just 18 and 19. I was a freshman. I was studying political science. And we were hoping so much to have our classes started in person and COVID-19 getting over. So however, things didn't happen as we expected. And the Taliban took over the country for the second time after 20 years in 2021 on August 15. When the Taliban took over the country, we all were shocked. I was at the university, and because the university is from the Americans, and the Taliban are like not so much in favor of the outside help and outside support because they don't see it as a positive thing. So I was studying there, and in the first few weeks of the Taliban's takeover regime and living under the Taliban's takeover, I was receiving phone calls from random numbers. From random numbers, I was receiving phone calls. One of them I picked up. It says, "Who are you? I know you." I was like, "Who are you? What do you want from me? Who is this?" And he doesn't say anything. He speaks Pashto, the second language that we are using in our country. He doesn't say anything, and then it hangs up. I received calls from the same number a few other times, and then from different other numbers. I pick them up, nobody speaks, and I stay in the call, nobody speaks, and then it hangs up. Until a few days, I receive an email from the university. It tells me that it talks about the news reports that are online, and it's talking about the information of the American university students being leaked to the hands of the Taliban. Now I'm reading the email. It says that your information has been leaked, and it provides us the guidelines, safety guidelines on how to deal with those phone calls that I and a number of other students have received. So what it tells us in the guidelines, it tells first, do not pick it up, that I have already picked a number of those calls. Then it says, if you pick up, do not talk. I've already talked to them, asked them, like, what do you want from me? And then it says, if you have picked the call up, do not stay in a call for more than 30 seconds, for example, that I have already stayed. And it says, if you stay for more than 30 seconds in the call, they will be able to track your location. Now I'm afraid, I'm shaking, I'm scared, because it's not just me, it's my whole family in danger. Now I have this experience, and I don't know what to do. I'm shocked, I'm scared. I literally don't know what to do. With this, our classes stopped for a number of days, and so that we halt our programs at G2L, Gospel Leadership Organization, that we were having our online program. So we stopped it until we find a way on how to have our program safe, because at that moment I was not able to keep myself safe because of all those phone calls and other stuff online that I was receiving as an advocate of women's rights and girls' rights and founder of G2L, something that is really against the beliefs of the Taliban. For those people who do not know about the Taliban, Taliban are a terrorist group who are violating the very basic rights of humans, and are against anything that helps empowering women and girls. So I, as a person who was advocating for women and girls' rights and having G2L and studying at the American university, it was really hard to keep myself safe from everything, leaving aside having programs for girls online. It was doing more harm than doing good to them if I continued that. So we halted the programs until we tried to find out what we can do to have the program safe. For us, for Girls to Leadership, having that experience, safe, first-hand experience of what that safety means and what kind of bad experience it is to feel all those stuff, I really understood well the girls who were in my organization. I'm so happy that I have Mahbouba here, who was a participant of my programs in the early stages of my organization. But finding that out, for us, for G2L, building up on what Nahid and Rhonda mentioned, for us, safe space is not just somewhere where it is safe for people to learn. It's somewhere that people feel supported, heard, and motivated, and understood well. A safe space, safe learning space for us means that it's not just if the space is not safe, learning space is not safe, it's not learning space anymore. People cannot learn in such spaces. So it shouldn't be just safe, it should be a space where girls in my organization, for example, or any other space, they not just feel safe, but feel motivated to learn something. They feel themselves, they feel somewhere where they can express themselves, be themselves, not be afraid of having somebody in the room that will judge me because of my fears, that will judge me because of the feelings that I have. So a safe space for us means that. And a safe space also means somewhere where you're respected, your ideas are respected, your trauma, the things that you have been through are respected and understood well. So this is what we really value in our organization and in the programs that we have at G2L, in addition to what things mentioned by Rhonda and Nahid. I don't want to mention them repetitively, but we also take those into consideration as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marcelina, and thank you for sharing your personal experience in this context where digital safeguards that could prevent leaking, because leaking in this case, leaking information presents a risk not only in the learning space, but in real life. So thank you for sharing that. And that takes us to our next question. Maybe we can go around the same round, but we can switch it up as well. What are the most significant challenges that hinder the creation of these spaces? What are the roadblocks? And how can we better address digital well-being? I don't know.
I'd like to start
Yeah,
off,
Rhonda.
if that's
Okay.
okay. And
Sure.
I want to say thank you as well to Marcelina and Mabuba for just such powerful stories. As a advocate for girls' education, it's disheartening to hear what your country has experienced. And so from this perspective of digital well-being, I think one of the things that is preventing the creation and maybe the sustainability of such spaces is we are rightly beginning to be more balanced with the digital detoxes and not wanting to be online as much. I know that with the advent of artificial intelligence, the sharing, the rapidity of misinformation, disinformation, deep fakes, and other AI-related risks and harms is one thing that's also making me now sharing things, and I don't know what is real, and I'm an expert in this space, so it's really scary to think what is happening for the average citizen. I think another thing that youth are also grappling with is that it's always been very difficult. I'm a millennial, so the Gen Z and the Gen Alpha, Gen Beta are also grappling with, oh my gosh, I need to be online. I need to have these digital skills, but jobs are also rapidly disappearing. So how do I balance, making time for the social, which can help me network for my future and things of that nature, with the reality that I also need to build in time to understand this kind of new economy, this new world unfolding for me. So I think there are a number of polycrises from a geopolitical perspective that are impacting this digital well-being and participation.
Thank you so much, Rhonda. And yes, indeed, I myself try to digital detox from time to time unsuccessfully. But yeah, I like the term polycrisis. Yeah, it seems to be when you're covering one crisis, another one is coming from the other end. I don't know who would like to continue with this question. Nahid? Okay.
Follow up on that a little. I think, a lot of the things we know, there's external context, and I feel like, speaking broadly, we can say, oh, they're deepening divides, there's polarization. One of the things we see a lot, and we work with 300 something, we partner with 300 something universities in 37 countries. And one of the things we hear across the board from educators, from our students and participants, is that young people especially, are not equipped because they have not been taught, right? Like equipped with the key skills they need to be able to have these conversations, to be able to create those spaces. There's a fear of being canceled or ostracized. So they're not given the tools and the structure in which to be able to articulate their perspectives. And then they don't know how to ask the question. So that, I think, hinders the creation of these spaces. But one thing I found a lot is that a lot of online learning is passive, and it promotes or allows people to try to do other things when they're supposed to be focused on one thing. And that split focus and the algorithms, there's so many things we can point to at fault for creating this hectic, unfocused engagement. Everything is wanting our attention, right? And so in that kind of space, if we create learning opportunities that are passive, that just is in one way flow of information, then that is a challenge. We are not supporting a good learning environment, right? It doesn't allow for engagement. It doesn't allow for interjection. It doesn't allow for correction when what the participants are learning doesn't jive with their lived experiences, which can be both frustrating and not supportive of different learning styles, right? We've spoken a little about inclusive learning, but every single person learns a little differently. And usually if you're creating one learning module that is one directional, then you're not creating an environment where everybody can learn together, right? It doesn't allow for reflection. It doesn't allow for depth. And so then online engagement is seen as a chore, right? And it's not an opportunity for learning and engagement. And then perhaps often, and again, I don't think this is the fault of one individual not prioritizing these things, right? It's a lack of understanding. It's a lack of understanding what is needed and what is at risk if you don't prioritize the creation of safe spaces.
Thank you so much for that answer. And indeed, I agree that people need to be taught on how to conduct themselves in these spaces. It is not an innate ability that we are just born with. And also to move from the passive to active learning, which is a great challenge even in person. So imagine online. So Mursalina, would you like to take the next route?
Sure. Thank you. Really, again, great points mentioned by Rhonda and Nahid. So in the beginning of having taking safety measures in our programs at G2L, we tried calling people, as Mahbouba mentioned, to have their cameras on, so we make sure that we have the people who have registered for the program, not having people outside the program, so we can have everybody safe or ourselves safe. So we wanted to make sure of that. We wanted people to have their own names. But then I understood from some people who reached out to me, that some of the girls who reached out to us, to the team, to me, that, for example, I'm not able to turn on my camera. I'm scared. I'm not able to talk. I'm scared because, for example, I'm targeted or due to different reasons. Now we understood that it's not just us who are caring about our own safety. It's everybody else has their own personal stories, personal preferences, personal things that we need to consider. It's not just about us to think about our own comfort. It's also about others who have their own different things that we need to consider. So with that, what we were struggling with, the challenges that we had in our programs were not just the technical challenges. It was the girls with their emotional fatigue. They had the constant fear of being recognized to be part of such programs, the constant fear of not living like under the Taliban regime, living offline, but also online, being on online spaces, being on internet, on different platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and other different platforms. We were not just dealing with like the ordinary things, like technical stuff. We were dealing with girls being afraid that somebody might check their phone and see the messages. They need to delete their chat boxes. And so many of these things that we need to always have in mind as challenges for our online programs and online sessions. But what we were trying to do was, like, by the passage of time, we learned with each other. As Nahid mentioned, it's always not always like from one side. Not, it couldn't be only from our side. It could be co-created. We could ask the people, we could ask the participants, that what helps you to feel safe to join this program, right? It's the co-creation of the methods and the policies or rules to keep everybody safe, not only ourselves, but also everybody else who is joining the programs. So with that, what we were trying our best to keep everybody safe was to have a specific link of registration. It really helped us to have the number of people who will be joining us, the names of the people, the information of the people, that we know these people will be joining, and not sharing those links publicly on internet, because everybody will have access to it, and we will have different kind of people who will know what's going on and will recognize our people. Also, like asking them to turn on their camera at least once, so we know this is the person that has registered for the program and we have shortlisted this person, or talk or have their own names. But it wasn't just like a compulsory thing. We were letting them have the right to, like, either if they wanted to have their cameras turned on or turned off, we were giving them that opportunity. And what else was really helpful to tackle those challenges was to have everything really controlled well, like have somebody responsible for everything. For example, for people who are unmuting themselves, for people who are joining, for people who are registering for the program, like having people specifically having their designated roles, so they know their responsibilities and everybody feels safe with that. And monitoring session well, and yes, these were the things that we were trying our best to make sure to tackle those challenges that girls in our programs were facing, not because of the online space, but both online and physical. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Rosalina. Indeed, that digital footprint could involve some problems offline as well. So very interesting to how you guys managed to keep some tabs on that. And yeah, definitely the co-creation of what we think is going to feel safe and contribution from different participants will create a stronger framework for that. Thank you so much. Next, we want to know a little more about your organizational response. Could you share how your organization equips learners with the skills they need to navigate the digital world? What is your target audience? I don't know who would like to get us started. Nahid?
I feel like I'm picking up the mic every time, but here we go. Sure. So at our target audience is largely young people, college-age young people, so 18 plus. And we also, over time, that's how we started in 2003. But over time, we also engaged just people all over the world, right? Like, but usually up 18 plus. And we work with our flagship program works with universities to integrate global exchange programs, digital exchange programs into university curriculum, so that because our core belief is all young people should have these experiences to be able to engage with their global peers, to be building these skills that we're talking about. So essentially what we do is that we engage and equip young people with these skills through facilitated dialogue programs and global virtual exchanges, and make sure that essentially we're helping them learn by doing. So our dialogue programs create spaces for young people to engage with each other in facilitated dialogue over a sustained period of time and speak authentically about the issues that are most important to them, whether it's global issues, local issues that they come up against in their lives. And our sessions are a blend of learning components and free-flowing dialogue, so that participants, again, are learning these skills and practicing them in real time. They're able to engage with it in ways that are meaningful and specific to them. So our model is highly participant-driven, which allows young people to have control and autonomy over their learning journeys and the process. And again, for us, that's really important in fostering the spaces that are conducive to learning and are safe. All our sessions, it would be very ironic if it wasn't true, because the first thing I said is that all our sessions are facilitated by expertly trained facilitators who have undergone significant intensive training. They use a structured curriculum that we have developed through research, pedagogy, and just empirical testing over 20 years. Our facilitators are equipped with a deep set of facilitation tools that help them create the safe, inclusive spaces for their groups and support their participants' learning journeys. And I do want to, in every space I'm ever in, give a shout out to our facilitators. We have hundreds upon hundreds of, we've trained more than 1,000 people in facilitation skills, and we have 300 active facilitators who represent a global cohort, who are the backbone and the driving force of our work, because they're the ones, I can talk about this all day, they're the ones doing the work and sort of practicing what we preach. But again, keep it a little short. The skills that we equip young people with are digital literacy, communication, critical thinking, collaboration skills. We think these are critical in preparing them to be able to navigate this digital, hyper digital world that we live in, that have very little to no safeguards, so that they, when they participate in our programs, they are equipped with these skills. They come out of it, our alumni say that they come out of our programs feeling a sense of safety and belonging, to explore their identities, their perspectives, their assumptions and values, and they feel empowered and activated to engage in more learning. So the idea isn't that one-off, but the idea is to ground them in these skills so that they can then go out and do these incredible things. We also train facilitators, again, sort of holistically building cultures of dialogue and communities of practice. I am going to stop there so that everyone else can speak a little.
Thank you so much. I just want to highlight what you mentioned about trained, skilled facilitation that is necessary for these spaces, and that the aim of the program is to be a stepping stone into more learning and more cultural awareness. Thank you for that, Nahid. I don't know if who would like to go next.
I can go.
Rosalina? Okay.
Yeah, I could go. So at Girls to a Leadership organization, what we are focusing on, the ages of the girls that we are focusing on are from 14 to 25, that are both high school students and university students. So what we are doing basically are helping them learn leadership skills, capacity building programs, and any educational opportunity. Specifically after the Taliban's takeover, we are trying our best to provide them with anything that we have that helps them to get educated, because in Afghanistan right now they do not have access to education, no schools, no university, no working opportunities, so nothing for them. So what we are doing is we're trying our best, and we have tried our best to provide them with anything that we have that helps them to get an education from somewhere, including the partnership that we have with the AFS. That's really amazing, and we are really happy for it that we have this partnership with them. And they are helping with Afghan girls. We have Mahbuba, which I'm really grateful that I have her here today as one of the participants and one of the people who has been here from the partnership that G2L and AFS have had. So these are the target audience that we have. And what we are doing for them is we basically focus on leadership skills and stuff, but we also are trying to pair them with other sessions that are helping them to have a safe learning space online. For example, teaching them like basic stuff that we know, or for example, having even bigger sessions for them to learn about digital safety, so they know how to keep themselves safe online. And this is basically what we are doing.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I just want to highlight then that you have a wider range of ages, 14 to 25. That's very interesting. And also a very more varied curriculum is required because of that. And yeah, leadership skills and building capacities, linking up with like-minded programs. That's an amazing collaboration, and it's going to help them see the world in a different way as well. So Rhonda, I don't know if you want to answer a little bit of that before we move on.
Yeah, some of the things that we do, we work with a lot of our young graduates, and so we're more towards the end of the scale rather than being in the teenage years in terms of the age. And I would say that when we're creating digital spaces, one of the things that is part of our community guidelines is, because at Teach for All, our fellows are working with students. So whenever they are joining together in a space, do not share student data, de-anonymize or anonymize rather, whenever you're sharing stories or anything like that, and no personally identifying information. So we keep that as part of our ethos and culture so that people know what and what not to do to protect other youth who might be younger than them. Another thing that we try to do in terms of, let's say, like more inclusive participation is also being sensitive to things like context. So trying to make sure people share primarily text only, because that is more lightweight for bandwidth. Making sure that, we're not forwarding or contributing to the distribution of mis or disinformation. All kind of agreeing that we will also check each other. So I saw one question in the Q&A panel, that asked about how can learners contribute to building and sustaining safe online communities. And I think that, having, some kind of, and I hate the word police, but like self-policing, like, having people contribute in that way meaningfully will also be one of the best ways to do that. And I'll end so that Mabula has enough time for her.
Thank you. And I actually would like to ask Mabuba about that question that is from the audience. How can learners contribute to building the sustainable, safe online community? How did you contribute to make it a safe space for others? And how did you feel others contributed for it to be a safe space for you?
So I personally believe that the learners also can contribute strongly to creating a more safe space for each other. So, for example, as I said that uh, we all were telling that so we're open-minded when we say that. So I was worried about. Uh, I heard from some of my family members who are living outside Afghanistan, and they were saying that so people outside Afghanistan, they think that mm, people who are from Afghanistan, they are all related to the Taliban or terrorists. So because they experienced, they heard from people outside, and so it was really hard for me to face with this reality that yeah, people outside think about me for or I was afraid of being judged. So the AFS program, my when I shared this my concern with these other students, so they really helped me to. My peers really helped me. For example, they said that uh, after this, we are gonna say other people when we see that yeah, there are amazing people from Afghanistan, like they say that we are going to mention you. And it was really helpful that my peers were telling me that, yeah, we are going to do this for you, that all Afghans are not related to the Taliban. There are other amazing people like Mahbouba from Afghanistan who are really trying hard and they are not related to terrorists. Yeah, this way, my peers, they help me to, or other learners help me to feel safe and supported in my program.
Excellent. Yes, definitely. The links that are created there during the sessions will help, I don't know, calm down a little bit of that trepidation that you might have felt before joining and all that. So I don't know, Saskia, if we have time for one more question or, okay.
Yeah, we have 2 minutes left. Unfortunately, I think this conversation was extremely rich. I learned a lot, and I hope everyone else here did too. And if you do have questions, panelists, if you're interested to hear them directly, you can share your email in the chat. Otherwise, I will share an email account that you could forward your questions to. So yeah, so thank you, Felix, for moderating this fantastic panel. You all are just a wealth of knowledge. You have so much to share. Your stories are very powerful, emotional, and I think we could talk about this for hours and hours, but unfortunately we have to end. So let me share my screen again. So everyone who attended here today will receive a badge. You can share it on your LinkedIn or other social media, as well as our speakers will receive one as well. And there's the email. You can email us at v.learn@afs.org if you have any questions. And here we have a survey. So this is an opportunity for you to share anonymous feedback about the session, to share follow-up questions. We would really appreciate your feedback about the session so that we can maybe offer more sessions like this or modify how we offer sessions in the future, and not just for International Education Week, but for AFS programs in general. So we would appreciate your feedback. You can scan the QR code here. You'll also receive an email after this session with a link to the survey. And don't forget, this is not the end of International Education Week. We have 4 more sessions coming up. The next one is measuring the career impact of education abroad. So please join my colleagues later for that if you're interested. And we also have an AFS Opportunity virtual booth. So if you want to learn about some of the digital programs that Mahbouba mentioned, you can register here for the session on Thursday. And this is our active global citizenship educational framework. You can learn more about it at afs.org/education. And this is information about the Youth Assembly, the AFS Youth Assembly, which will take place in Geneva, Switzerland this year, which combines digital online learning with in-person learning with attendees from over 100 countries in the world. So we hope you'll learn more about that here. Thank you all for joining us. If you have questions or comments, please contact us. I want to extend a huge thank you to the panel. You are all incredible, and your knowledge is just so important for what's happening in the world these days. And we need your voices, and we're glad that you could be here today. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Felix, and see you soon. Bye, everybody. Thank you.